your this shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX. J-Way. I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless. I'm gone. Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck. Give me that. The trends. See a lead, be the band.
Welcome to Bleachers and Speakers. I'm your host, June, and it's that time of the week where I get with my NFC North comrades and we talk NFC North Division football, minus a cheesehead. But hey, the Bears are here, the Vikings are here, and Foster is on the way. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
I can't complain. I'm not under 500, so that's good.
Hey, 2-0, baby, leading the North.
Okay. Yes, 2-0. The Vikings are in first place in the NFC North in this early part of the season. I know it feels good. Like I said, Foster is on his way. Oh, well, looky here. All you have to do is say his name 3 times and boom. He's in the waiting room. I'm gonna wait for him to.
No, we're only 2 games into the season, and I am quite pleased with what I've seen so far from my team, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, for sure. Foster, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Running a little
Candy
late
man
at traffic.
Yeah, I said your name 3 times, and boom, here's Foster.
I'm sure only nice things.
Sure, you sound a little tired or got a cold there, Foster. What's up?
I think it's just allergies.
He's playing hurt. Just like a lot of other teams around the NFL right now.
Right.
Yeah, gentlemen, we've had a week 2 in the books. All of our respective the whole division played. Of course, there's no bye weeks this early, and going to just go around the room and tell us. You can tell us what you want to say about your team's performance. I'll let Dave go first because I know he's been chomping at the bit. His Vikings are 2-0.
I know, and it's amazing because we didn't anticipate this. We didn't figure this. We were hoping to get out of the first 5 games, maybe 2 and 3, and we'd be okay. We're already at 2-0, and we could win a lot more. So it's going to be interesting. The Minnesota Vikings went out last week against the defending NFC champions, San Francisco 49ers, and dominated. I know that's hard to believe, but if you watch the film, we dominated. Now, they had a bunch of good plays. Mind you, they are very, very good. They're probably still one of the top 2 teams in the NFC, even though we beat them. They have some hurt players. We have some hurt players. But the way the Minnesota Vikings went out there with an offensive game plan, with the way Sam Darnold actually played, and the way Brian Flores in our defense just drives opposing teams crazy, we pulled out the win, and it should have been bigger. We left points on the field that we should have gotten. Aaron Jones fumbled on the 1-yard line.
Oh, wow.
Right? That should have been a touchdown.
Yes.
We had an interception that was a bad throw by Sam. It was his only bad throw that could have turned into points. We had another set of points we left off, and it could have been a bigger win than it was. But we went out there. There was no doubt. You got in there early, and even though the game was good and close, and it was more of a heavyweight fight because, I mean, there were punches going everywhere. Bam, bam, bam. Like Tyson and on. It was back and forth, but it was great. But the Vikings won. I am quite happy. We are moving on into week 3 against the Houston Texans, which will be another test for the Minnesota Vikings. But we're sitting there now, 2-0, king of the North at the moment. And it was great. And then I got to watch all the other teams play, from Green Bay to Chicago and Detroit.
Oh yeah.
And I got to admit, June, I love the new Roland, especially the ones with the gray coveralls.
Yeah. I guess it's a acquired taste.
Okay.
Say that. I'll say that. So, what were you most impressed with your team this week, Dave?
The defense.
Okay.
The defense by far.
Tell us about it.
They Blake Cashman and Ivan Pace, our two inside linebackers, were just disrupting things all over the place. And by disrupting, I mean they were racking up tackles and busting up pass plays. They were in position to do that, causing interceptions. Josh Metellus got another one. Josh Metellus is from where, June?
He's from the great University of Michigan.
Well, he's listed
National
as a
champions.
safety. Yep. He's
National
listed,
champions of Michigan.
he's listed as a safety, but he lines up everywhere. I've got a chart that'll go up Sunday or Saturday on 2O Bloggers that'll show all the places he's lined up in just the first two games.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing because he lines up everywhere. He's the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
But the way Brian Flores had the team going, we have our depth, our rotational pieces that come in on the defensive line, like Jihad Ward and some of the others, making big plays and pressuring and doing that, all that, and shutting down what we know how good Purdy is, and we know how good his wide receivers are, and their offensive line, the whole works. And we just drove him crazy to the fact that Purdy, after the game, walked over and sought out Brian Flores to tell him what a great game he coached against him.
Wow.
Because they weren't ready. It was amazing. And then I got a friend that does a Niners podcast, and they were going off after the game, which is always fun to watch. It's like listening to Packers vent line after one of their losses. It's fantastic. But that was the biggest part, was the defense being able to do their thing, and then the offense sitting back and Sam Darnold being able to take the shots he took and threw. Most of them were accurate or close enough, and that's all that's needed, whether it be with Justin Jefferson or Jalen Naylor, who did well this weekend. But, my favorite play, obviously, is the one where we're backed up on the goal line. We took the ball over at the 1, took the next play, ran it 2 yards. We're starting at the 3. And then he drops back and in from the end zone, just bombs it. And by bomb, I mean that sucker was over 55 yards in the air to Justin Jefferson. And I'm sure everybody that watches this saw that highlight. And Justin Jefferson runs down this way, and then he cuts it back and runs in for the touchdown. And probably the most impressive part of that one single play was the back judge, who was was running and backpedaling and then flipped his hips there to end zone. He did absolutely great. And we had two people open. Jalen Naylor was open on that play too, and he went down and helped block right there at the end. And Jalen Naylor's nickname is Speedy, and he has the speed, whereas Justin Jefferson doesn't necessarily. Justin Jefferson's fast, but he's not that fast. And it was a wonderful game. And to come out with that victory at home for our home opener, it was the icing on a great weekend that started out with Skull Fest on Saturday night, which is where a bunch of creators get together and a bunch of fans get together. There's about 200 people down at the corner bar in downtown Minneapolis near the stadium. And we have what's sort of like a pep rally, but it's a blast of a time. An adult pep rally, if you want to call it that, because beverages flowed. It was just a wonderful weekend. We won.
I can imagine. I can imagine, man. Congratulations, man. They're 2-0.
Yep, love it. We got what it is that little extra cushion we'll probably need later. But we won. I don't know about Pay's team though.
Well, let's get to Pay. Pay, if you're ready. I mean, hey, it's your time to shine. How did your team fare? For those who didn't watch, I'm asking this. I watched the game. It was primetime TV, but I'll let you tell it in your words. What did you see out there, Pay, for your Chicago Bears?
What I saw was no good feelings on the offense. I wish we could just say that defense wins games. I wish that was true every week, but unfortunately, it's very hard for the defense to score touchdowns week in and week out. And that might be what we need because the offense is not showing what we needed to show. It's been a fable, a story passed down from generation to generation of Bear fans. And it got me thinking about this as Dave was talking about his Skull Pep rally, where you got generations of Vikings trading war stories while they drink beer and lagers and chew on the extremities of dead animals.
Yes, all that's true.
Bear fans through the generations have talked about shitty offenses for years and years and years. I save for maybe one season.
Mm-hmm.
I've never known the Bears to not have a terrible offensive line. And it looks that our fears of being resurrected once again. Is one of the reasons why Justin Fields failed here. Not the principal reason, but he didn't have a good line in front of him. One of the reasons why a lot of the quarterbacks from years on the year past, terrible offensive lines. Our general manager, he prioritizes fantasy football, getting the running backs and the high named wide receivers instead of doing the dirty work and getting the glue guys. This offensive line has been a question since he got the job. He's been building other parts of the team, but the offensive line has been an afterthought. He traded a 5th-round draft pick for Ryan Bates. Ryan Bates was a reserve in Buffalo. Ryan Bates went to the injured reserve this past Saturday before the game. He split time last week, and the offensive line was okay last week. Not superior, not superb, but they did better than they did this past Sunday against Houston. Ryan Bates went to injured reserve, which means Nate Davis, one of Ryan Poles' first free agent acquisitions for the offensive line. So he had all the duties at right guard. He had, by my count, 3 false starts. He fell on his face while he's trying to pull to block Will Anderson. He obviously fell on his face. He was unsuccessful. Will Anderson blew up the play. And he gave up 1 sack, and he had 5 QB hurries came through his gap. Does that sound good to anybody?
No, doesn't sound good at all.
Negative.
Yeah, it sounds terrible, right? Yeah, sounds very terrible. That has been the premier acquisition on the offensive line under Ryan Poles. The draft pick that he had last year, we traded down twice to get Darnell Wright, who plays right next to Nate Davis at the right tackle. He had 2 flags of his own, 5 pressures, and gave up 2 sacks. I'm gonna ask you again. Does that sound good?
No.
Oh, not optimal.
Sounds terrible. This is, you spent the attention that you gave to the line has all been directed at the right side of the line, and it's been horrible. You made Will Anderson look a lot better than he should. You made Danielle Hunter cause us problems another year. You made a lot of their defensive players, they look like all-stars Sunday night. I was not impressed with the showing from the offense, primarily offensive line. But I wasn't impressed with the team. The team showed a lack of attitude, a lack of fight. And I'm going to use that word very pointedly, fight. If you hit my quarterback, I don't care if it's a legal hit at all, and he gets dropped to the ground, we got to fight. We don't get to surround you, and then you stand up and just swing on the first person you see, and nothing happens. No. You don't get to throw our players to the ground and nothing happens. No. Somebody got to start throwing some fists around here. I don't care if you get suspended. I don't care if you get thrown out the game. I don't care if you get fined. We got to have some anger about ourselves. If we're going to be what we aspire to be, a bully in the NFC North, a defense first city, it's got to show in our attitude. And from getting off the bus, we just didn't have it.
So with that being said, what did you see that you liked Sunday night?
Very little. Jalen Johnson, our all-world cornerback, he got targeted 3 times. He only gave up 1 catch, but some of that is smoke and mirrors. He would have gave up a long touchdown to Tank Dale if Dale could have caught the ball. He doesn't shadow receivers. He sticks to one side of the field. And the Texans, D'Amico Ryans, to his credit, they were smart. They put Nico on the other side. So Nico went off against our other cornerbacks. I guess that would be alike. That's cool. Caleb Williams, and I did say the offense was bad. In the first half, the offense didn't look terrible. Caleb Williams, he had a step in the right direction from a progression and putting the ball where it needs to be in the beginning of the game. It's just the second half of that game, the intensity got dialed up and everybody was throwing off. Our running offense left a lot to be desired. I don't think there was a lot of lanes created from our offensive line. I'll go right back to them. They suck, all 5 of them, all 6 if you add in that guy on the IR. Let's see. Our coach, Matt Eberflus, he threw 2 challenges that should not have been challenged. Like, what are you looking at? Glad it didn't cost us the game, even though we only lost by 6. So, I don't think I liked anything from the game, dog. It was a lot of it left a lot to be desired. And this sounds like we got destroyed 33-6. We only lost by 6 points. So that tells you like the correction was right there to be had. It's just it seems like we're closer than what we feel like it for Bears fans.
I watched the game. I was impressed by the defense. I think the defense is real. I think the defense hung tough. It's very, very hard to play defense for 4 quarters when your offense is not moving the ball. It's just on a consistent basis, especially if you can't run. I think Swift's line was 14 carries, 18 yards, and you can't have that. You can't have that. You have to give your defense a chance to rest, to regroup. And if you're not moving the ball like you should, you don't give a chance. But the defense hung up. That's what I saw. The glaring part of that game was Chicago's defense is pretty good, considering.
Oh, we do that already.
Yeah, the considering
we do the defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm saying, like, from a fan point of view that doesn't know your team, the defense looked really good.
Pay, talk to me about your center, Shelton or Coleman Shelton.
Coleman Shelton, he got thrown on his backside and pushed around by former Bears that we let go. Coleman Shelton, again, another backup anywhere else in the league, but we're starting him. He was in a position battle all through training camp with the aforementioned Ryan Bates again. So he's not necessarily somebody who should be there on merit. He's just there because this is the best that we have. Why is this the best that we have? We paying a lot of money to wide receivers. I don't know why we're not putting some of that money on the line. Yeah, I mean, what in particular should I say about Mr. Shelton? Do you want me to say something glowing? Do you have any statistics you want to throw my way there, Dave?
No, I was just listening to a specific podcast this week, and his name came up saying he was absolutely miserable for you guys.
He was. He wasn't alone. Tevin Jenkins, right there next on the left guard, he wasn't all that good. Like I said, the right side of the line gave up 3 sacks. Caleb was sacked 7 times in total. So nobody on that line played well. I don't think it was and I don't think it's just their fault. Some of the sacks, some of the pressures we gave up were sight keys. Some of the things need to be called out by Caleb and the center and working in unison. Tevin Jenkins spoke to that after the game. He was like, "Yeah, we can only execute what's called." So that lets you know that there's an issue with the calls that they're getting. They're not seeing what they need to be saying. The Texans, they for their benefit, they played a well game. They had a lot of delayed blitzes. They had a lot of stunts that were successful. But some of them should not have been as successful. There's no way we should have been pressured almost 65% of the dropbacks.
Well, Sean just had a question. Is the bad play on offense from the offensive line or from Caleb holding the ball too long? And that, I would guess, are the pressures and sacks caused by that? Or are you telling me part of that is also the offensive line not getting the line called correctly? They're blocking. Or are they getting overpowered?
Some of them were overpowered. Shelton, he got overpowered by my count 3 times. He got thrown. He got pushed. He got pushed off his base. Not a good, very low center of gravity. But no, I don't think any of the issues from Caleb were from holding the ball too long. He didn't have any time. A lot of the stuff was very, very well executed on the defensive side of the ball. If there is a problem that I would say to Caleb, he's not recognizing certain looks early enough and getting certain calls in and not audible into other more advantageous plays. But that is not, but as you all know, that's not a strictly Caleb thing. That is a eye in the sky. Get this calls in to my line. It's a lot. It's a work in progress for the offense. I'll just put it like that.
Yeah, I understand. Let's get to a quick break, and when we come back, Foster, I want you to talk about how the Lions fared in week 2. And for those that are watching, we'll be back in like 10 seconds. If you're listening, be prepared for some wonderful ads. B. Foster.
Yo.
How'd your Lions fare this Sunday, man? What'd you see out there?
Well, we lost 20-16. When you look at the box score, we nearly doubled the Buccaneers in first downs. We doubled them up in rush yards, doubled them up in pass yards, and we found a way to lose the ball game. When you actually look at it from the perspective of actually watching the game, it came down to turnovers. We turned the ball over twice. They turned the ball over once. Goff threw 2 interceptions, and their quarterback threw 1 interception. Clock management. We gave up we had an opportunity to kick a field goal at the end of the half, and we misplayed that situation, ran out of timeouts, ran the kicking team. What was it? It ended up being a legal procedure, or 12 men on the field or something like that. So that one, Dan Campbell owned up and took ownership for, which is commendable, I guess. But outside of that, I don't think the play calling was very good. We had a lot of plays where we needed 7 yards and we ran routes that were at 5, and the receiver was flat-footed and not able to use his momentum to get to the first down. And, several times like that where we just weren't – the plays didn't look good. I know we had a 2nd and 2, and they did some weird option play to Gibbs that resulted in a 5-yard loss. It didn't make much sense. There's really not much of an option when you got a guy that can't – a quarterback that isn't – it's not a dual threat situation. It's only going to go to Gibbs in that particular situation. So there was some odd play calling and just red zone offense. We kicked 3 field goals, and when we could have been kicking when we needed to be scoring some touchdowns with the litany of weapons that we have, we were not able to get in there. Sam Laporta has been non-existent. Jared Goff did not make some of the throws that we liked him to make. And the Buccaneers secondary, I got to tip my cap to them. They were short-handed, but they were very aggressive out there, and they just weren't worried about the double move or just us stretching the field. Jameson Williams had another good game, but as of right now, we are still looking for somebody like a Josh Reynolds that is a possession receiver that can stretch the field. We just don't have that. They jumped all over our routes. They jumped on a couple different routes. There was one particular play that was likely a pass interference, which resulted in an interception, but they just didn't look worried about us stretching the field. And I think that some of that has to do with just the personnel changing and Ben Johnson having to adjust to that. But I need to see, and I think we will see. One thing that we did see is Amon-Ra St. Brown got back into the groove of things. He had 11 catches and 100 plus yards. But Sam Laporta, I think that this is a major week for him to assert his presence. Because like I said, we doubled their passing yards. We doubled their rush output, and Aiden Hutchinson had 4.5 sacks this week. Levi Onwuzurike had a half a sack. Well, that other half a sack went to Levi Onwuzurike. DJ Reader looked great as well. So the defense did their job outside of some pass interference situations with Terrion Arnold and a couple blown coverages, because Chris Godwin had 117 yards out of the 180 yards that Mayfield had the entire game. And a lot of that was in the first half. The first half was ugly. It was I think both of Goff's interceptions were in the first half. I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that, but
yeah, one in the first and one in the second.
One in the first, one in the second. Yeah, but it was the first pass of the game, I think, for Jared Goff that he threw the interception on. So it was a rocky start, and Goff's got to be better. Dan Campbell, like I said, he owned up to his, to the management of the clock, but ultimately that field goal kind of hurt us. But we need to be getting in the end zone more. When it's all said and done, Bates was a question going into the year. He's lived up to his side of the bargain. I don't think he's missed a field goal yet, but we need to see more touchdowns when it's all said and done. But I'm happy with the improvements to our defense, and the Cardinals are kind of riding high. They're coming off a victory against the Rams where they kind of wiped the floor with them. Although they're real banged up. Nakua didn't play, and Cooper Kupp's on the IR now, or is going to miss a decent amount of games. So, this is a game that I'm kind of worried about. Marvin Harrison had 2 touchdowns, and Kyler Murray had 3 passing touchdowns all together, and he was active. He was active out of the backfield, and we know. I mean, Baker Mayfield put Rodriguez on skates. He about tore his ACL the way that movie put on him. So we know we are susceptible to running quarterbacks, and got to do better. Can't drop this game to Arizona.
Another thing of note is 1 touchdown, 7 trips to the red zone is just not going to do it.
Horrible.
Let me ask you this, Foster. What did you see out of your Lions team that impressed you?
The defensive line. I like how Marcus Davenport had a good game. He's missed the next game, but everybody stepped right in. Mekhi Wingo had looked good. He had a pressure right in the face of Baker Mayfield. Unfortunately, we had that breakdown in the secondary, and they ended up scoring on that. But he was right in the face of Baker Mayfield. I mean, Godwin was wide open on that play. But yeah, the front four looked really good. Obviously, Hutch had 4.5 sacks. Levi had another half a sack. And yeah, the line looked good. And Brian Branch, I really like Brian Branch. Made a very nice interception. The safeties have held up their end of the bargain as far as playing that center field role and giving the quarterback something to think about when they put the ball in the air. We just got to tighten up on our coverages in our cornerback situation. But they did not play a lot in the preseason, so I'm not surprised that there was some miscommunication and a few mishaps in the secondary.
Okay. Well, and I'd like to say I the offense 16 points. Not a good offensive put out for the first game as well. It's a little bit concerning from an offensive standpoint. I think defense has hung tough at times. They've given up some plays, but they've hung tough. So hopefully that offense wakes up soon. Arizona's not going to be a gimme game, I'll tell you that. I watched them play and they looked amazing. They were in the first game that they played. They just lost near the end. So, Dave, do you have an injury report? Just not official, but what's going on in Minnesota as far as injuries?
I was just trying to look up, see when Call of Duty's due out this year.
According to Tim, it's November.
November? Good. We played the Cardinals in December. Because it's right. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. You make my day. For injuries, you all saw that Justin Jefferson went out with a thigh injury. We thought it was hip. He got leg whipped on a running play, and it turns out it's just a upper thigh contusion, which in layman's terms is a bruise. They treated him immediately, did some compression stuff and cold and heat and cold, and do all the things to maximize or minimize the damage that a bruise can cause. And he was up and moving on Monday, no problem. He was moving that day. He was moving Sunday. But he was back to basically normal on Monday. And today he was full participant in practice. So everybody, the Texans need to fear that he will be 100%. Jordan Addison, we're still day-to-day on his ankle. Hopefully he'll be back for the Texans game because we can use all the help we can get because Texans are not anybody we can scoff at. And then for other injuries, I think that's about it. We're relatively healthy.
Okay.
Other than the ones that are already on IR and, waiting.
That's not. I'm just talking about, from the game or anything new developing. Pay, you got any news on the injury front, Chicagoland?
Nothing yet about the most high profile player that was hurt this past week, Keenan Allen. I don't think it's anything significant, so we probably should see something going in the right direction as it relates to his availability for this Sunday. But it is a little early, so nothing as of yet to be reported on that front. As I said, we had 2 offensive linemen on IR, and Roschon Johnson. He was another healthy scratch. For all intents and purposes, we assume he's healthy. He's not on the injury report, so I don't know why he's not getting any carries. But maybe Matt Eberflus is on the injury report too. I don't know. But no, for the Chicago Bears, we're pretty clean. We're pretty clean there. I wish we can chalk some of the issues up on offense to injury.
I want to double back. Our injury report just got updated. The Vikings, Jordan Addison, like I said, stay today. We don't know when that ankle's going to deal. Dallas Turner got hurt in the game, and it was supposedly something in his knee popped, which, of course, takes me back to J.J. McCarthy, and oh, shit, there goes his MCL, there goes his meniscus, whatever. No, it's supposedly minor, but he did not practice today. And the other did not practice was Brian O'Neill. But all the old guys are going to get vet days sometime during the week, and that's probably O'Neill's vet day today, where they give the older players a day off.
Okay.
But that's it.
I do want to double back as well. I want to update something real fast. I'm sorry. So Keenan Allen and Tevin Jenkins, two starters on the offense for the Bears, they didn't practice today on Wednesday. So I'm going to keep that keep a watch on that. Some limited participants in practice was Nate Davis. I guess this is par for the course for him. He hates practice, and that's not just his play on the field has been raising eyebrows. He just doesn't like to practice, whether he's hurt or is that something else going on. All things considered, he don't practice. So he was limited today in practice. Montez Sweat, Roma Duze, and DeMarcus Walker, all starters as well. They were limited along with Nate Davis. So keeping an eye out for these things.
All righty. Foster, what you got for us?
So the Lions have a pretty lengthy injury report, none of which are super severe, but we definitely got some good news. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was out, who missed the end of the game for us, and obviously could have been a contributor to us pulling off the win in the end. But he was a full participant at practice today. So he should be good to go on Sunday. Marcus Davenport, who obviously missed last week, was a full participant as well. Ennis Rackenshaw, who was a late addition to the injury report right before the game started on Sunday, did not practice. He's nursing a hamstring injury. Ife Melifonwu was still not practicing with that ankle injury. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but Alex Anzalone did suffer a concussion. He collided with one of his teammates. He did not practice. So still unspecified on all fronts as far as game time. But I'm assuming that the folks that are full participant and limited participant will likely play. So good to see Marcus Davenport bounce back after missing a game, and good to see Amon-Ra St. Brown being a full participant, because he was on his back at the end of that last game. It didn't look super severe, but for Amon-Ra St. Brown to not be able to go at the very end of the game, it was serious enough for him to not be able to walk. He had to hop off the field when it's all said and done. So good to see that he's was a full participant.
Okay. So that about wraps week 2 up. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll come back. We'll preview week 3. We got a whole bunch of football to talk about. So we'll preview week 3 when we get back. Week 2 is in the books, and now we have week 3, and I'm pretty sure that all of us know who we're facing. But we didn't talk about Green Bay in their game. And Dave, I know you watched the game, so if you can give us the cliff notes, give us the good news, which we're.
I did not watch the game.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Nor did I want to watch that team play at all. But boy, did I hear about it.
Well, only reason I said that because you said at one point that they were giving the game away to Green Bay, so I figured you were paying attention.
Oh, they were. There's no excuse. Malik Willis obviously is in for Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of injury report, he was practicing today.
Jordan?
Mm-hmm. I don't want that. But Malik Willis was in for Jordan Love, and out of 60 some odd plays, like 67 total plays on offense, they ran 53 times, ran the ball. Old school football. Turn around, hand it off, let it go. Let the line do the work. Pay would be in big trouble if they had to do that. If Chicago did to take, at least they got a quarterback that can throw the ball. But anyways, they did that. They pulled out the win against the Indianapolis Colts, and I was pissed off at the Indianapolis Colts. I think we all were, because we expected the Packers to start out 0-2 and stay in the basement, but they pulled off that win. What happens this week with those Yahoos, I have no idea. We're going to see who they're scheduled to play and win. But like I said, the bad news today was Jordan Love was at practice and he was jumping around and moving his knee. So hopefully that's just a limited type of deal and we can see what happens. Green Bay is scheduled to play at noon against the Tennessee Titans, where Malik Willis came from, and they obviously have a good defense. So hopefully they can shut them down.
I doubt it.
But like I said, the bad news is that Jordan Love was playing today.
Okay.
Practicing. Bad news for me because I want him out for our game, which is against them, which is week 4.
All right. Well, week 3, who you got there, Dave? Who you playing?
We are hosting the Houston Texans, one of the best teams in the AFC.
Okay.
It's our first AFC game of the season. Our previous 2 are against the NFC, locking those up. And this one's against the AFC. CJ Stroud's coming to town. And it's going to be interesting to see CJ Stroud, the rookie phenom from last year, quarterback battle Sam Darnold, who's in his, his resurrection, his renaissance, his reclamation season here, and how all that goes. Now, it's going to be extremely interesting on how everything matches up. This is a revenge game for quite a few players. It's almost a half a dozen on each side, where a half dozen Vikings used to play for the Texans and vice versa. 2 of those on the Texans include Stephon Diggs, who still holds a grudge against Minnesota because he feels they sent him to Buffalo to football purgatory to die. Now, we all know that didn't happen. He did extremely well in Buffalo. And then he's come back to, now he's down in Texas. And the other one is Danielle Hunter, which Pay probably wishes he'd signed in the offseason. And I know you guys wish you would have signed him up there because he was causing all sorts of problems this last week against the Bears. He's going to be there. We have Blake Cashman, interior linebacker, as well as, I'm trying to remember who the other guy is, Texan that's on our team that are going to be playing starters that are going to be playing against the Texans. It's a pretty even matchup. Texans are favored only, I think, by 1.5 points right now. Because Vegas still thinks the Vikings suck. And I want them to. Let them. By all means, let them. It's just like Sam Darnold got ranked. I saw on one of the QB rankings like 29th. And it's like, are you nuts? You're freaking stupid. But anyways, keep them that way. Keep the Vikings. They're nothing. I want the rest of the league to think the Vikings are trash. Go ahead. Do that. You're going to get beat. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys match up. Now, Danielle Hunter, it's going to be interesting because no matter which side he lines up on, whether it be Christian Darrisaw or Brian O'Neill, they practiced with him for the last, played football with him for the last few years. They know exactly what he's going to do. So that's not a big deal. But it's going to be an entertaining game. It should be like last week. We had Pay talks about lack of fight. That's one thing we had in last week's game against and it's very palpable. You can see it between San Francisco and the Vikings. It was a knockdown, drag-out fight, like I said. I expect much the same. Now, what I worry about is the Vikings tend to have a letdown after a big emotional game like we had against San Francisco last week. I don't expect that this week because there are literally about a half dozen players on each team that used to play for the other one. And I expect those to go off and to bring everything up. And our crowd at home last week was just absolutely rocking. And as long as we're winning and making good plays, which we did last week, they'll continue that. And it's hard for opposing quarterbacks to battle that. I mean, ask Purdy. He had a real hard time with that. And I suspect CJ Stroud, it'll be the first time he maybe not goes against such a loud stadium because they play in a dome. They know what noise is, but an opposing dome where when they're on offense, I'm sure they've heard noise. But it's going to be the first time he goes against a Brian Flores-led defense, and that's going to cause him problems. And I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a good game. But we're at noon on Sunday.
Definitely tuning in to that game. Hey, who Chicago got next? Oh, he might be frozen. Let me get back to Pay. Foster.
We have the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
And that is in Arizona.
Afternoon game.
The Cardinals are 1-1. They lost their first game against the Buffalo Bills, and they bounced back against the LA Rams. And their defense is about middle of the pack. It's too little of a sample size to really get a read on them. It's kind of a tale of two different sides of things. They, like I said, they handle business against the Rams in a in a game that they were. I feel like the Rams were still they lost, but I feel like they put a lot into that first game, and in the process, end up being pretty banged up, and their secondary was already kind of susceptible to the pass, and the Cardinals took advantage of it. Murray went 17-21 with 266 yards with 3 touchdowns, and 2 of which to their rookie receiver. I was certainly hoping that he wouldn't break out and have it, get his confidence up right before us. But we're just gonna have to keep a close eye on him. And Murray kind of moved the ball around to a lot of different receivers last week. So he didn't just throw to Harrison, and then James Conner had over 100 yards. James, I don't know about the first names, but Conner had over 100 yards rushing as well. So they had a nice balanced attack. So it's something it'll be a good test for our defense. I think we're up to the task, and I'm just hoping that our defense can remain healthy. I hope we can get Ife Melifonwu back. We could definitely use his versatility, especially with dual threat quarterbacks that tend to give us an issue. He's a lot more fleet of foot than Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield was looking like modern day Steve Young out there. And Steve Young was he a runner?
Yeah, Steve Young was a runner.
Yeah.
So
fast guy.
Was Steve Young a running quarterback?
That's early for me. That's early for me.
B. Foster's young.
Yeah.
Cut in some slack, Pay.
Yeah, come on, man.
My bad.
I was gonna jokingly say modern. I was gonna jokingly say Vic, but I wanted to put it more in a realistic category. So I think Steve Young is a fair comp. Yeah, somewhat of a comp.
Yeah.
What time is your game on Sunday?
Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, see, now that's way too far.
No, Sir Francis is awesome.
Don't do that to Dave.
I'm just saying.
Don't do that to Dave.
That's what I grew up with, baby.
Steve Young was older on the tail end, but for me anyway.
What time's your game this weekend?
I want to say is that a 4 o'clock game?
4.
Yeah, it's on the West Coast.
4 Eastern.
4 Eastern. So
3 Central.
So we'll have the Packers, Vikings, and Bears done by the time you guys kick off.
Yeah. For sure. Hey, who you got?
Fellas, the Chicago Bears play the Indianapolis Colts in week 3. You all know those Colts, those same Colts that let those Packers out of the basement. Dave, I am just like you. I wanted the Packers to stay in that basement, that dank, poorly lit basement with thousands of bottles of baby oil and all the weird parties going on in that disgusting basement. I wanted them to stay down there.
Wow.
I wanted them to stay down there and get and be the be a victim. I wanted them to be in solely in last place. But those Colts let them off the mat. The word is out. The word on week 1 was hey, look what the Colts got at quarterback, right? They got a guy throwing bombs, right? And they were the talk of the town. Now look at them. They let the Packers beat them. If the Packers can beat them, we gonna destroy them.
No.
We got to remember they did it with the run game, running
the ball. Anthony Richardson, he looks like somebody who still needs to be propped up as a professional quarterback. He don't look too hot to me. And this is his second year. Maybe there's a little bit of stunning development because he got hurt early last year. I'll stall him out. But for right now, you want to take these lumps, young man. And the Bears are coming in to give you some. We're gonna have a fight this week. Our defense is not gonna let you go crazy. In fact, they don't go crazy on no one anyway, except the Houston Texans. They went crazy on their defense, but the word is out now. The Bears defense is not giving up anything over the top to Alec Pierce. They don't even throw the ball to Michael Pittman, so we ain't got to worry about him. And Jonathan Taylor, all we got to do is shut them down, and we're going to romp over them. I expect the Bears to have a first easy win of the season, 12 o'clock noon, Sunday.
Famous last words, Pay.
Yeah, they struggled versus Green Bay, and they lost Green Bay ultimately with a backup quarterback.
Malik Willis beat them.
Yeah, I definitely. This could be a very well much be a rebound game for the Bears because it's in Indianapolis. Yeah, for sure. So I thought it was something we can add to this conversation. I know we're nearing the end of the show, but Dave brought up a point before we got on air, and I want to ask all you guys, how impressed are you with the New Orleans Saints? They have scored on every single offensive possession. Is that something we should be concerned about as being a part of the NFC? Or is it something that's just going to, it's not going to subside? I mean, not going to continue. I'm sorry.
Well, that pace won't continue.
It can't. It can't.
Obviously.
It can't.
Obviously, there's going to be some regression in that and their historic start to the season. In fact, it goes back to last season. I think they scored 40 or more points in 3 of the last 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they've scored on 16 possessions this season. I do want to call out who they played against. They played against Carolina, and they played against Dallas. Dallas was
a bit of
a paper champ. They lost a lot of. But they lost a lot on their defense, so they were primed to get exposed a little bit. And that take nothing away from New Orleans. Alvin Kamara is still pretty good at football.
Yes, he is.
But that's the biggest surprise to me. I thought he was old and washed, and he looks like he's found the fountain of youth.
Maybe there's, he's 29 years old. He's still, he can still be washed. He can still be old. I mean, every now and then, even the old guys got a burst where they remind you, like, hey, don't forget about me. Every now and then it happens. I mean, Michael Jordan scored 40 when he was 40. I mean, it happens.
It's Jordan.
But the thing is this: New Orleans Saints, they're making the improvements to their offense. They still got Chris Olave. It's still Alvin Kamara. It's still that guy who's a football player he doesn't have a position. He just goes out there and plays football. Taysom Hill. Right. They still got Derek Carr as the quarterback. It's still the same band of guys who was pretty average to below average last year. So I'm with Foster here. Obviously, there's going to be some regression because that's just what happens. Water's going to find its level, but I think it's going to find its level pretty profoundly.
Well, I think Clint Kubiak is having the coaching year of his life as OC down there. Now, I just looked. There's only one team in the division that plays them, and it's way at the end of the season. And it's not ours. So let's hope that they're still that good way at the end of the season.
I pick up on what you're throwing out there, Dave.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping they're that good that day for sure.
That day for sure. Absolutely.
For sure.
Well,
For
that
sure.
about do it for this week's show. If you want to go around and tell the people where they can find you, when's your next show, what can we look forward to? You know the drill. Hey, you can go first.
Hey, if you like hearing anything Chicago centric, whether that's about the Chicago Bears, Chicago White Sox, Chicago Bulls, Chicago lifestyle, food, blah, 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 we got it for you at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans channel on YouTube. You can also get all of our sports centric shows anywhere you get podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and others. All you gotta do is go ahead and search out the Bear Claw or Shot City Bulletin Board. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you never miss a drop. Always a good time. Check us out.
Dave?
You can find Vikings information at Vikings First and Skull on YouTube, on Facebook, on Fans First Sports Network, our partners, and of course on any podcast aggregator that you desire. And if we're not there, let us know. We should be there. We're across all of them as far as I know. And like Pay said, he brought up something. We even do lifestyle now. We have a new host. Sal Spice is her name. She's into her second week, and her football show is a little bit different than most because we get, we can get into the stats, the geek stuff, or we can get into what we saw and talking old school, Fran Tarkenton scrambling across and how Drew Pearson pushed off and all those things. But she's different. She's talking about Vikings lifestyle of a super fan. And it's actually pretty cool. She's got some great guests on and scheduled. Trust me, I know who some of these are, from players to fans to all sorts of things that comes on. And she's wonderful to listen to and not bad on the eyes either. So come join us over on our side, Vikings First and Skull, to get the latest on the Vikings. And of course, we all rotate around with this show, who will be king of the NFC North, your Fans First Sports NFC North Roundup show, as we love talking this weekly. And that's what we do over there. But I do want to bring up one last thing.
Okay.
Little tidbit of trivia. Did you know that J.J. McCarthy, the future of the Minnesota Vikings, has as many touchdowns thrown this season, mind you, he went on IR in preseason, as every other rookie quarterback drafted this year?
What?
Yep. He is tied at the top with 0, and he's on IR. Well, at least he has an excuse.
Well, you can catch me and Foster on Bleachers to Speakers. Subscribe to that YouTube channel, Bleachers to Speakers. And for your podcast aggregators, for your audio fix, on all podcast platforms. That's platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. Follow us. That's Bleachers to Speakers, FFSN. You can check us out there. Foster has some great stuff on the YouTube channel. Outside of football, he does Tigers. The Tigers are heating up. And we also do basketball there too. So yeah, that was really, really, really good. Shots were definitely fired from Dave.
It's a bar.
Oh, Dave, what are we saying in Vikings land?
Of course, as always, Skull Vikings.
Hey, I hate to ask you, but what do they say in Chicago?
Just a standard bear down. That's it. Nothing crazy.
What? There's no the 6-letter thing you guys do. Starts with the D and end with S. No, none of that this week.
Not this week. We gotta earn that. We gotta earn it. We're gonna earn it
wow.
after we destroy the Colts.
Well, you didn't earn it last year, but you were doing it.
The swagger was coming. Now we got to earn it. The expectation has changed now, June. You got to keep that.
You know what?
Changed.
One thing you did at
better.
the beginning of the year, you had very low expectations for Chicago. So I get it. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. We say something, but we refuse to use the pride word on this show. So we're just
Go Tigers.
go Tigers. Foster, what happened with the Tigers yesterday? Did they win?
They won. They are 8-2 in their last 10 games. They won 3 in a row, and they're a game and a half out of the final wild card spot with about 10
Wait,
games
hold
left.
on. Wait, that means Minnesota beat Cleveland yesterday.
They did.
They suck. Golly.
They do. They're
When
doing
you
their best
beat them to
to
win.
destroy themselves. So
Keep doing
They'll-
it. Two more
they'll do
games and 2 more games in Cleveland, and then 3 in Boston. Lose them all.
Fellas, great show. I wish both of you guys luck next week, next Sunday, and we'll be chatting.
Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting